Welcome back to Marella Explorer 2 and to part 3 of our very first Marella cruise. If you're new here, we're David and Mark from Travels with David and Mark, where we share weekly cruise and travel adventures. When people think of Marella, two things usually come to mind: all-inclusive drinks and a very relaxed dress code. So when Marella says dress to impress, what does that actually mean on board? Do people really dress up? Or is it still pretty low-key? Tonight we'll find out as we take you along for our first ever Dress to Impress night on Marella Explorer 2 during our sailing around the Canaries. So far on this trip, we've taken you through our first ever Marella fly cruise experience, embarkation day, and our first impressions of Marella's adults only ship, a vessel that's been sailing for over 30 years. Last time we headed ashore in Lanzarote for a wine tasting excursion, and let's just say the wine tasting continued as we got back onto the ship.
Oh gosh. Oh.
So if we seem a little tiddly in this video, you now know what we've been up to just before.
Anyway, we've come back to the cabin, we've got changed. Tonight is Dress to Impress night. But we're getting the vibe on board that is quite relaxed, quite chilled. So we didn't bring the tuxes.
No.
So
We're in shorts
this
and
is
chinos.
what we're in.
Oh, shorts, shirts and chinos.
Yes. And judging by what other people are wearing around the ship, I think this is the right choice.
Yeah. I've got a nice
You've got a lovely new shirt.
heavy cord.
It's its premiere on the channel.
Is it a heavy cord? Is that what you would say?
I don't know. It's lovely anyway. You've probably seen this on other trips.
Yes.
Standard. But we're going to go to latitude 53 tonight.
Yes, it's a special menu for, well, it's not celebration.
Dress to Impress.
Yeah, special menu.
I believe there is a beef Wellington on the
Yeah,
menu.
we'll have that.
So we shall be having that.
And then we'll see what the night involves. Apparently there's a silent disco. So could it be our second ever silent disco?
And if we get a chance to go see the show in the theatre tonight, I would like to do that.
Our first show of the cruise.
Yes.
Let's go and see that.
Bye.
As we just mentioned, tonight we're heading to latitude 53 to kick off our Dress to Impress evening. Outside of Dress to Impress nights, the main dining room is split into 3 different areas across decks 5 and 6. Downstairs is latitude 53, which serves the classic main dining room menu. Upstairs on deck 6, it's split into 2 sections. Vistas on the left, with an Italian-inspired menu, and Piccadilly's on the right, offering British favourites. All 3 are included in your cruise fare, but on Dress to Impress nights they all serve the same menu. Tonight we were seated up in Vistas on deck 6. We started with a glass of the included fizz, before moving on to a French onion soup and a very classic 1970s prawn cocktail to start. Both were really tasty, and the prawn cocktail in particular was beautifully presented. As predicted, we both went for that beef Wellington for our main, finishing off with a baked Alaska and a crepe Suzette for dessert. Fully fed, we headed to aperitif on deck 6 for a gimlet. Thanks for that recommendation, Wayne. If you watched our embarkation vlog, you'll know that we felt that this space lacked a bit of atmosphere, and even on Dress to Impress night, it still felt like a waiting area for the specialty restaurants on either side. This clip was taken at about 8:30 in the evening. No music, no atmosphere, which is crazy for a celebration night, so we made a quick retreat for our favourite spot, flutes. Thankfully, there was a very talented musician playing here, which really helped set the mood. Before tonight's show, we made our way to Squid and Anchor for a game show. During Majority Rules, you're basically trying to get into the minds of a Marella cruiser, choosing what you think will be the most popular answer.
Is it trivia? Yes, it's trivia. Will it always do is trivia? Yes, it's trivia. It's really trivia.
We'll start that again. Good evening! I'm going to ask you, what is the best alcoholic drink? What is the best alcoholic drink? We're starting off nice and boring for the first one. So you fancy popping on that top one? Those dockets.
And we mean absolutely no disrespect there. Those genuinely were the two drinks we saw most of around the ship, so please don't hate us. Anyway, onwards to the Broadway show lounge. After picking up our included drinks, we made our way to our seats. We'll tell you more about what we thought of the show a little later on. Next on the agenda was the silent disco in Indigo Bar at the front of the ship. And no, David isn't pretending to be a penguin here. The ship was rocking a fair bit, and apparently that's how he keeps his balance.
Which is the best channel?
Oh, listen and find out.
Like we did on our ambassador videos, we'll leave the ambient sound of the silent disco in here, because honestly, that's the best bit about it. So, are you more like me or David when it comes to things like this? Let us know in the comments below. It takes me a bit to warm up, but I do actually enjoy a silent disco in the end. And of course, the perfect follow-up to a silent disco is a late night buffet. On the way, we took the opportunity for a quick photo op, after moving some furniture out of the way first. Marella, why put tables here? Anyway, now that David's made some room, it's time for food. The late night snacks here are served until 1 AM. And don't panic if it looks closed, only one side of the buffet is open.
I went for a beef burger and chips because it's a late night snack. But I'm impressed. It's midnight. I'm impressed it's on. So I'll take it.
We'll take it. Is there any gravy with your chips?
No. I wanted gravy. There is no gravy. There is no cheese. I think I've got the last burger.
Oh.
But they'll bring more out.
And thankfully, they did bring out more delicious burgers, so there was no risk of David ending up in these choppy seas after scoffing the last one.
Hello there.
Hello.
It is the next morning.
It is after celebrations. What do they call it? I keep calling it celebration night.
Sparkle and shine?
Sparkle and shine. Is it?
I don't know.
Dress to impress.
Dress to impress, that's it.
One of those.
There was a sparkle and shine party the other night.
That's it. Yes.
That's why we're getting confused.
Yeah,
Dress to impress night.
Well, we last left you. We were heading for our dinner on the night that we've just said. But my brain still wanted to say celebration.
Dress to impress. Anyway, dinner was nice.
Yeah.
I had the beef Wellington for my main.
Both of us did.
Yeah, well, yes, we did. It was very tasty. The beef was tough, but I don't think that's any slight on the chefs, because I think you could tell it was cooked well.
We could order how he wanted it, so we had it medium rare, and it did come medium rare.
It was just a tough piece of meat, and sometimes you just don't know, so that's fine.
Yes.
Did I have dessert? What did I have to start? What is life? Following the meal, we headed off to... Well, actually, we went to Flutes for a drink, and we bumped into... While we were there, Harry came over and spoke to us, and he was with another of the entertainment staff. So Harry's one of the entertainers on board.
Yes.
He's fab. Like,
Yeah,
we've chatted to him quite a bit, yeah.
The entertainment team have been fab.
But we've chatted to Harry the most, I would say.
Yeah.
And he was saying, "Oh, are you coming to Majority Rules?" And we'd seen it in the agenda, and we're like, "Oh no, I can't be bothered having to get up and move to a side of the room and stuff like that." And he's like, "No, it's all sat at your tables." And we're like, "Okay then."
Yeah, so we went there, did Majority Rules. That was good fun.
Didn't win.
Didn't win, but it was
Sadly,
fun.
it was
Yes.
fun.
Change of scenery.
Yes, it got busy, so we left.
It did, yes. But we were talking through what we were doing, and we had just got to us going to the show.
Yes, we went to see Nikki Bennett.
Yes, in the Broadway
Show lounge.
Show lounge. That was our first time going into that theatre.
Yes,
I think.
it's actually a decent setup in there.
A lovely theatre,
Impressive.
actually.
Yeah. We sat on the floor. I kind of wish we'd sat on the sides.
On a chair on the floor.
Oh, yeah. On the stalls. But they had like a balcony going down at each side.
Yeah.
But they were already full when we got there. But I think you'd get a really good view from there. We actually went for the front row.
On the front row, and actually, just to be warned, it's a really high stage. So if you're sitting on the front row, maybe if you're very short, you might not see too much.
No.
If the people are at the front of the stage, which for this show, the singer was near the front of the stage, so you could still see her. I think if you were watching something where it had a lot of stuff at the back of the stage, you might struggle.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see like a proper production show in there, just to see, because I imagine they'll utilise more of the stage space.
Yeah.
So just bear that in mind if you're going to watch something there.
But she was a good singer.
She was a fab voice.
Yes, she did very well, considering it was quite an empty, other than those sort of wings being full, it was quite an empty show.
Yeah, we were at the late show though. We went to the 10
10
p.m.
o'clock.
show. So the 8 p.m. show might have been a lot bit, that might have been the majority of people went to. We don't know.
Yes.
But the 10 o'clock show wasn't overly full, so she did very well to kind of include everyone and do that. Will say, however, the band, get some charisma, band, please.
They literally just stood on stage.
They stood and stared at their music, and it was literally, it was like painted by numbers. It was just very, we have to do this. And I don't know whether that is because they're the band that the ship has,
I don't know.
And they don't usually work with Nikki. I'm not sure. It was just a bit peculiar.
It was very flat.
Yes. But that was the show.
Yeah, and then we went up to Indigo for Silent Disco. Now I'm talking about this. I've got a memory in my head of us talking about this already.
Oh, I don't
saying
know.
that it was our second time at a Silent Disco.
Oh, I'm not sure.
Anyway.
It was our second time at the Silent Disco.
It was still good fun.
Yeah, first time on Ambassador, second time on here.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun. There were only 2 channels though. That's my only criticism.
Yes.
You could only have, it was basically past and present was the theme, I think. So you could have 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, noughties with the 2 channels.
Yes.
I didn't split that up, did I? That doesn't make any sense. So 50s, 60s, 70s on one channel, 80s, 90s, noughties on the other channel.
Yes. We tended to stick to the noughties, 80s, 90s noughties, which Harry was doing it, which we spoke about.
No, Harry was doing the 50s, 60s, 70s.
Was he?
Yeah, because that was the one where it was like Alice, and I went up and tried to catch him out by saying the F word, and he didn't.
So was he not doing the channel that had Spice Girls on?
No.
Oh, well, there you go. He must have had too much to drink.
I think, anyway. I'm pretty sure he was doing the 50s, 60s, 70s one.
Either way.
Following that, we went for then some late night snacks.
Late night snacks, yes. So tick to Marella for having a late night buffet option.
Yes.
That's one up on
Open till
Ambassador.
1 a.m, I think it is.
Yes, we had burgers and chips.
They were very nice, actually.
Yeah, very
considering.
pleasant. I thought it was strange that there wasn't a pizza.
Yeah, there were no pizza. Not that we saw anyway. There was no pizza option. But what we have discovered is from our previous videos, like you might have seen that we talk about water and the lack of nice drinking water on board. The water that you get from the buffet, in the morning it's juices, and then the rest of the day or into the night it's just water. That's probably the nicest drinking water we've found.
Yeah, so take your carafe from your room, fill it up in there.
Or do what we do and get a pint glass from the beer section
in the buffet.
The help yourself beer section. Get a pint glass from there and fill that up
with water. Because it's important to hydrate.
It is that. So what were your thoughts overall of their Dress to Impress night?
Dress to Impress night. I think if you hadn't have read in the itinerary that it said it was Dress to Impress night, I don't think you would have known it was.
No, I would agree. I think dress code wise around the ship, or what we saw people dressed up in, didn't seem very different from previous nights. Which, if you don't like getting dressed up, is a good thing.
Yes. I think I probably saw maybe 4 men in tuxes. So I'm quite glad that we didn't wear a tux. I don't think I would have felt out of place, because if you want to wear a tux, wear a tux.
Yeah.
You just do not have to. The vast majority of people wore what they would have worn on any other night.
And bearing in mind there are no self-service laundry facilities on board, I'm glad we didn't bring the tuxes.
That's true.
So
yeah, so in that respect it was a bit meh.
Yeah, it didn't, like I say, it just didn't feel, and if it was supposed to feel special, it didn't particularly feel special.
There was no standout thing that happened that would have made it special. Like, as good as Nikki was in the singing in the theatre, you would imagine if it was a celebratory night, there should be some sort of big show.
Well, one thing I noticed, and I think this is maybe something that Marella could look at potentially, but I understand people have jobs to do, is I read afterwards, after we'd seen the late show, I'd read that apparently just before the early show, the captain was on stage and was introducing the crew and doing that sort of stuff that we saw on Ambassador, where he introduced his staff.
Yeah.
But they only do it at the beginning of the early show. So if you go to see the late show, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So I wish if it was a case, because some people don't want to go to the early show, and I feel like you could replicate that, because it's only 15 minutes long according to the agenda, so you could replicate that.
That's true. It make it feel a bit more special.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
If you're watching Marella, that's just a quick thing you can do. And now we're here.
And it's the end of video number 2 from this series. So thank you so much for watching. We hope you've enjoyed whatever I've cobbled together.
Who knows what it'll turn out like. But if you have enjoyed it, please give us a thumbs up. That really helps us out.
Yes, consider subscribing. Subscribe and then subscribe.
But if you have enjoyed it, please give us a thumbs up. That really helps us out.
Yes, and do subscribe.
Why can't you say the word?
Because I was trying to say do consider subscribing.
There you go. Use that take.
But do consider subscribing if you fancy. We've had a few people come up to us on this cruise to say that they have subscribed, so thank you for your watching.
Yes.
It does mean a lot to us, and also it helps us out more than you know in terms of how YouTube view us.
And we've talked about it before as well, but we do have a tier of membership available, our Wanderers.
Yes, so thank you to you guys for supporting us.
Yes, thank you very much.
If you want to join, click that join.
Anyway, we'll leave you there.
Yes.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye.